I mean, it's got to be nerve-wracking, right? Coming into a meeting, sitting down, and there's all these other people you don't know at this table, right?
That are experts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and how often
Yeah.
do we sit on one side of the table and the parents sit on the other, And so sometimes I
Yeah,
like to try
which
to go
is
sit by them. I did that as a school psychologist too. I try to put all the psychological jargon away and just this is what these numbers mean. Hey, let's talk about it and let's explain it in ways that everybody can understand. And just
mhm.
yeah, let's just focus on the kids. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing when we all focus on the kids what we can actually accomplish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Derek Eccles. Derek is the Special Education Director at Filer School District, which is in Filer, Idaho. Derek, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This will be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. So, where exactly is Filer, Idaho?
It's a super small town. Well, I should say super small, but it is small, a little over 2,000 people. And we are in we are in southern Idaho. Some people know where Twin Falls, Idaho is. It
Okay.
has the big Snake River uh, gorge there. People come base jumping off the bridge all the time. So we are about six
Not me
miles or
anytime
so.
soon.
Yeah, me either. We're about 6 miles west of Twin Falls.
Awesome, awesome. So, tell us a little bit. You told me before we started recording that you've only been a special education director for 2 years. How did you get there?
I was a school psychologist for 18 years. And when you work in education, you're always thinking, well, what else could I do? It's not like you're getting promoted, working your way up the ladder. So I got my administrator's degree a few years back thinking, man, just in case, an opportunity presents itself, although I had no desire to go into administration. Um, long story short, yeah, so I was in Twin Falls, Idaho, as a school psychologist, and then Filer, the position opened, and I knew some people over there, and they were kind of like, "Hey, you should apply." So I figured, "Hey, I'll apply. It'll be good experience to go through the interview process." And next thing I know, they're calling and offering me a job, and I was pretty surprised and had to make a choice and decided to give it a try. So
Wow. So, how has it been?
different,
Yeah.
but not
Oh, I'm sure from being a school psychologist to being a director, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pros and cons. I mean, the honestly, the hardest thing was leaving a district I'd been for so long, and I'd built so many friendships, and that was tough. And my kids
Yeah,
are still
for
in that
sure.
other district too, so kind of giving some of that up was tough. And being the boss is hard, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody likes what you have to say all the time. Not everybody wants to be your friend, and if they do, it's not always for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, learning to manage people has been a really good experience, honestly. As much as it's been a challenge, I've seen a lot of skills in myself that I've been able to develop and just become kind of a better human being all
Yeah.
around and more understanding. And so it's been good and challenging and a learning experience all mixed into one.
Yeah. Yeah. So as a school psychologist, were you treating, like doing any counseling, or was it mostly assessments? What did your job look like before
Um,
I
uh,
mean, because there's a lot of different ways you can be a school counselor, right?
sure,
Or a
yeah.
school psychologist. I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
apologize.
that's
School
okay.
psychologist.
People say that all the time. It's fine.
I know, but there is a difference, and I
I
know the
know.
difference.
Had to pay to go to school for that title.
Right, absolutely.
In the districts that I've been in, I've been in a few over the years, and it's really is more of a just a testing district. I mean, there's so many kids that are struggling academically, trying to help them get the services and supports that they need. I almost feel like sometimes you're just doing triage too. You're like one school to the next, just trying to solve a solution, find a solution, test a kid, figure out what they need, and move on to the next. Um, However, the school I was housed at a high school where my office was, and I mean, you get to know the student body there, and so I would have kids that would just kind of pop in and be like, "Hey, can I ask you some questions about things?" And so I did get
Nice.
to do a little bit of that, not real therapy, but just kind of talking and listening and offering advice, and I really enjoyed that part, honestly, working with the kids in different ways. And I guess I should throw out there, I also teach for the community college in Twin Falls. We have it's a college in Southern Idaho, so I've been teaching dual credit psychology, and then I also teach like a night class on campus, just Psych 101, and coached a
You're
lot of
busy.
at the high schools, did a lot of baseball coaching and yeah, just trying to
Oh,
stay involved.
wow, wow. So let's talk about, so you take this job, and what's the first year look like for you?
Trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
I sat down with the previous director before she left, and she sat down and she was very nice, and she gave me all the stuff and pulled her computer out and went through all the stuff, and I was, like, more overwhelmed than before I met with her, you know? And I think the whole year it was just I was worried I was missing something. I kept telling my
Mm,
wife, I'm like, "There's probably something I've been needing to do all year, and I'm not, and but I don't know, and there's no one here to really
right.
tell me." And so that was tough, but what we have here in Idaho in this area is they do a director's list serve. So a lot of the directors in the region, there's like a they this everyone's kind of like pops questions out on this email, and it sends to
Nice.
all the other directors, and so that has been great, right? I may not always be asking questions, but I'm saving every one of those emails and all the responses that people are giving. They also had some little cohort for new directors, which I did last year and I'm doing this year as well. And it's just kind of going through all that basic stuff, so learning to like support each other, offering advice, how we can be help, how the state can help you, you know. So that's really been helpful. If I haven't had some different communities like that, I'd probably be going back to be a school
Right.
psychologist again.
Yeah, having the support of your peers and people that are doing the same job you are is super helpful, I'm sure. Um, I wish I had known more entrepreneurs when I started this than I did. Maybe I would have done it, maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know.
Sure.
Sometimes ignorance can be bliss, you know?
Yes, yes. I can't say I'm the new guy anymore. I've been here 2
No, you
years now. I have
can't.
to know it
You've
now.
got, yeah, you've got some skin in the game. You've been there a while. So biggest wins, what would you say are some of your biggest wins?
We haven't got sued yet.
Derek. Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
and honestly, that was one of my biggest concerns. Honestly, coming in, I was more concerned about parents, right?
Mm,
I'm like, "Oh, man, parents, you're gonna run into those parents that are just unhappy, and how can I do that?" And the least of my concerns was staff. Well, now that I've been in it for a while, that's flip-flopped.
oh, okay.
I spend more time probably dealing with personnel issues, with staff members, putting out little fires, trying to make sure everybody's getting along and working as a team, and that kinda surprised me. Um, and it's not that it's bad, it's just there's been a lot more stuff I've had to kinda get in order, and try to get everyone to understand that we're a team and we're all working together. Everybody has their own opinions and ideas, but the goal is to help the child. With
Right.
the with the parents, what I actually started to do is, when I got here, of course, there's people telling me, "Watch out for this parent and this parent." They're kind of like throwing those names out there, and so what I did is I just made sure that I started to reach out to them.
Mm,
I was like, "Let's go ahead and build a relationship now." So I'm showing up at those meetings. I'm making phone calls to them. Checking on them, see how things are going, and there was a little contentions in some situations, but honestly, for the most part, there hasn't been too many parent problems. I kind of found that parents just kind of want to be heard, and if they know that
yeah.
you care about their kid and you're trying, for the most,
Mhm.
you guys are going to be able to work something out. And
Yeah.
ironically enough, last time we were gonna chat a few weeks ago, I was driving back from a training, and I started thinking about this parent thing and how to help parents, and so what I wanna do, probably going into next year, is I wanna when I have new parents, so I don't know if I do this, like, twice a year, every couple of months, but when I have parents that are, like, brand new to this whole world of special education, I wanna, have kind of like I don't know if to call it like a town hall meeting or just kind of a little meeting all together in the evening and just talk to them about the world of special education. What the
Mhm.
meaning, because at that point, they were probably already in that meeting, right? They probably have questions still and just kinda
It's
walking
overwhelming.
process. Yeah, letting them know what things are, what they mean, and really just letting them know that they're a big member of that team. I think
Mhm.
too often the parents kinda just defer to the school. "Yeah, you guys know what's best, so yeah, yeah, go ahead." Like, no, like, we want
Mhm.
you're your, child's parent and expert, and We wanna know what
Advocate, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so try
Primary,
I'm
yeah.
hop I'm hoping that might build a little more community, more relationship between the community and the school.
Yeah.
Always trying to think of little things like that that I can do to have good relationships.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to and I'm scrolling down looking at my list, but, um, there was a guest that I had on my show. I think it was I'm trying to remember who it was now. That's terrible. Because we were just talking about building strong, the same kind of thing, building strong relationships and, making sure that the IEPs, it was Kristen Davis. So and she's from Noonan, Georgia. So when that podcast comes out, should be just shortly before yours, but because she was 3 before you. But she was talking about how in the IEP meeting, she has flipped it on its head and said, let's talk about just all of the good things about your child. And, they go in and they don't have the document completely done. And they set, they have ideas of what the goals are going to be, but then they talk about them as a team. And it was really interesting because I was like, how do you make sure that you get everything in a line? And she's like, once you get used to doing it that way, it becomes, because it's always supposed to be a team decision, right? That's always the way it is. But it was just really interesting, her perspective on IEPs. And I mean, it was specifically what you were talking about, parents, getting parents involved, making sure parents know and understand what's happening. And she said it's made, like you said, you did the same thing. You're proactive with difficult parents. You're proactive with your parents. And that's what they need. That's what they need to hear. And then you don't have the problems because you've kind of headed off at the pass, right?
Yeah, that's the idea, you know?
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
trying to help them out and educate them. I mean, it's gotta be nerve-wracking, right? Coming into a meeting, sitting down, and there's all these other people you don't know at this table, right?
That are
And
experts.
yeah,
Yeah.
and how often do
Yeah.
we sit on one side of the table and the parents sit on the other, and so sometimes I
Yeah.
like to try
Which
to go
is,
sit by them, and I did that as
mm-hmm.
a school psychologist too, I try to put all the psychological jargon away and just, "This is what these numbers mean. Hey, let's talk about it and let's explain it in ways that everybody can understand," just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's just focus on the kids. It's pretty amazing when we all focus on the kids, what we can actually accomplish, so
Yeah. Yeah. And the kids, not the disability, right?
yeah,
The
correct,
kids. Yeah.
correct.
Who is that child and how can we help that child to access education better? Because that's the whole point of IDA, right? The access to education. So yeah. And we all access learning differently. So which, as a school psychologist, that we don't all learn the same ways, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, that's a good question. So, my brain just went, "Oh, ask that question." Um, how much of being a school psychologist in those 18 years have you pulled into your job as a special education director?
Not as much as I would have thought, and simply because the school psychologist that we have here is great.
Ah,
So
that's
she
good.
she does such a great job that I don't really have to, like, intervene and say, "Hey,
Mhm.
we should consider this." But it is nice. She actually enjoys that I'm a school psychologist because she can bounce ideas off me a lot. She's like, "Finally, somebody that understands some stuff
Mhm.
similarly." So we talk about stuff and bounce ideas off each other every now and then. I think just my background in psychology, just teaching those psych 101 classes and just understanding human behavior when you're in a kind of an administrative position. I mean, that definitely helps, right? Um,
Mhm.
and then I guess just being a psychologist and understanding the different nuances a little bit of how we function in our brain and learn. It's the same way when you're working with staff, right? Hey,
Yeah,
I can present
people.
this way, but I know these four staff, they need me to present it this way. you know,
Mhm.
how that
Mhm.
understand what we're trying to
Mhm.
accomplish here. So probably more than I realize, honestly, now can you
Yeah.
answer that question, now that I
Yeah,
think about
right?
it.
Now that you stop and think about it, right? Some of what we do becomes so inherent with how we work, right? That we just don't even I know. And it's funny when I'm around kids, and I tell people always, and it's come up a lot lately, but, I'm an SLP. I'm always gonna be a speech language pathologist. My job now is owner and founder and CEO of Lighthouse Therapy, but I don't even it's never the first thing that comes out of my mouth. Like, "What do you do for like?" "Well, I'm an SLP, but I have my own business." I mean, it's always a, "But I," you know?
Sure.
Yeah, because it's just such a part, 31 years doing that, and, that was one of the hardest things for me to give up was seeing kids, being able to work with kids.
Yeah, I do miss that. I mean, I can get into the schools, obviously, right? But not having an office in this school just where kids are wandering in front of my office door all day like that's I miss that.
Mhm.
Miss the bells ringing and all the just the nuances of being in a school building. You definitely I mean, I have 5 or 6 other people right here in my office with me, but it's not the same, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
different, yeah.
we're all supposed to be
But
professional now.
yeah, one thing I often hear from school leaders is, "I just want a partner who puts students first." At Lighthouse Therapy, that's exactly what we do. We don't have outside investors and we don't answer to shareholders. Instead, we answer to school leaders like you, those listening to this podcast. Whether you're wanting virtual, hybrid, or in person therapy, our systems are designed to make your life easier and your team stronger. We are a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn how we can help you support your students this year. But too, the way that I've thought about it and the way that helps me is, I could serve 55 kids or so as an SLP full time. We have 3,300 kids that we're serving, and everything I do is about serving our therapists so they can serve their kids. So it's food for thought for you because, all you're doing is all the things that you're doing is allowing those people that work, including your school psychologist, to serve those kids. And without a solid leader like yourself, maybe not so good, right?
Yeah, sure. Well,
And yeah.
let me know. I'll let you know how this gig goes. If you need a psychologist, let me know. Well,
Yeah, right.
it starts getting more challenging.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. We're always hiring.
Yeah. It's funny you
For
ask
sure.
about, do you use your psychology skills, right, in your job? I was just thinking my wife always jokes around because she's like, "You're a psychologist, and you're supposed to be good at listening and doing all these things, but you come home and you're just not." I'm like, "Listen, I'm sorry, my powers are useless against my family members, you know? You're like my
Right?
kryptonite."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly, for sure. My husband used to tease me when I first started doing teletherapy and was working from home. My believe it or not, I was in Michigan and in the basement, which was I don't like the cold. I think that's part of the reason why I live in South Texas right now because I spent so many years on a concrete floor. I still have the same little footstool to raise my feet up off of the cold floor, and I have a heater under my desk. I don't need a heater under my desk so much here, but it's just like I gotta. It's like a baby,
Yeah,
a
it's your
whoopee or
comfort.
something.
You
Yeah,
got
yeah, it's my comfort. Yeah, to know that if I get cold, I can push that button and I got warmth again because it was horrible. I was cold all the time, and and it was just so moving down here was just get me out of that cold. So I associate some of it with just being cold. I don't want to be cold anymore. So yeah, it's funny how, but you love what you do and you keep doing those things that are put in front of you. I'm a Christian, so I say, God put me in front of it and I'll do it. Keep doing it. Just keep telling me what to do, what you want me to do, and I'll keep stepping into it. So, um, okay. So one other question for you. What is the one thing in your sphere right now, your job, if you could just miraculously make that problem or that issue go away, that one thing, what would that one thing be? Can't be money, by the way, not
yeah,
money,
no,
because
well,
we never have enough money. Nobody ever has enough money.
um, wow, that's a you should have prepped me for that one. Shoot.
Yeah, but see, if you're prepped for it, then you don't
Yeah.
I don't get the spontaneous answer. And there's a
No.
hard issue there, right? That's the reason I asked the question is what is that thing that what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about
Okay.
that?
Well, I would think I would probably say there's certain people be careful here. There's
Yeah.
certain people at times you work with and I run into them and it's challenging for them. It appears to be challenging for them to see other people's perspectives.
Mhm.
And so that's just on my mind lately because there's been some things I've been kind of working on with some people and they just like they're good at their job. They
Mhm.
they know their stuff.
Mhm.
but they just have a really hard time understanding when other people offer ideas or when other people see it a different way. They just cannot seem to get on board with that, and
Mhm.
it creates conflict and
Yeah,
and
my way or the
frustration.
highway,
Yes.
right?
It does, it creates conflict in a team setting because in the world of special ed, I mean, so much of it is teaming, right?
Mhm.
Working
Yeah,
together, for a common interest, and, yeah, that has definitely created some speed bumps, along.
yeah. Yeah, and if you could make that go away, that's a good one. That's a really good one if you could make it so oh my gosh, the problems in the United States that would be solved if people could see other people's perspective. Wow.
And
Yeah.
we talk about perception in my psychology class too, and we always have great discussions with these kids, and it's just it's not about you got to see it my way because my way is the best way. It's just
Mhm.
being able to understand other people come from different backgrounds, different life experiences, right, different beliefs, and that's what makes us all our own unique individual, right? So we all have something to bring and something to offer, and we don't have to agree with others, but we should be willing to listen and to learn and see if there's something that we can glean from them. Right?
Yeah.
And then, it would just be so much easier if everybody was willing to do that. And I say that,
Yeah,
but I'm
for
probably
sure.
not always willing to do that either, so I
We're
gotta practice what I
human.
preach here.
Yeah, we're human, you know? I mean, it's definitely true. I mean, there's so many things in my life that exactly the same thing, you know, it's like you've really got to pay attention to where your people are coming from and make sure that you don't just bowl over them, you know, and that trying to direct them, but direct them in a way that allows them to be themselves, but still, um, move the mission or the issue forward so that we can get to a resolution is really important. Conflict resolution is a big one. I mean, you just have to know, and especially as a leader, you understand that you've got to be able to see both sides of the coin. And I always tell people in conflict resolution when we have an issue, because we're a contract company and we represent the therapists mostly. We serve the schools so that they can serve the kids. And a lot of times when something goes wrong, usually it's a parent that's unhappy with a therapist. That's the biggest thing. You get that happens. And I will get, and it's never the therapist or the parent that tells me there's a problem. It's the school or the coordinator or somebody reaches out to us and says, "Hey, this therapist is this parent is upset because this therapist did blah blah blah." And I always say the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's never just what the therapist did, and it's never just what that parent's perception of what that therapist did is. Now, sometimes the relationship is broken and you cannot repair it, so we will just rather than rather than try to push into something that's never going to get better, we'll replace that therapist for that student and that family. But we always ask the therapist, well, what happened? What do you see that happened in this situation? And they'll be like, I didn't even know there was a problem, because people don't even always voice their opinion, or voice their frustration. They wait until they're after and then they get mad. And that doesn't help anybody. So, and sometimes it is them. And then I'm coaching and we're coaching and explaining, hey, there's a more sensitive way you can do this, but it's never just this person is right and this person is wrong. So, that's the empathy, having some empathy, right?
Sure. Yeah, and we don't
Yeah.
ever wanna tackle the problem head on, as it seems like, you wanna try to go around it somehow or, "Yeah, I got an
Mhm.
issue with this person," but rather than talk to them, I'm gonna go, like, talk about them over here to these people, and yeah, and we
Yeah.
just create more issues
Yeah.
for
And
ourselves.
gossip is, oh, I can't stand it.
Oh,
I don't. That's one of the things I always tell my management team, you got an issue with somebody, you need to go talk to them. I don't want any gossiping here. And if I say if I'm working with somebody and I say, well, so and so will probably do this and or whatever it is, but I will say to them as well, if I'm saying something about that person, I've either already talked to them or when I'm done with you, I'm going to go talk to them. We had a meeting today, as a matter of fact. I kept saying, our director of HR. When we hire a therapist, they have to go through an onboarding process. And she has such a sixth sense for this therapist is not going to work out just based on how they interact with her. And, sometimes it's like we really want to make sure that we help the school. So we push back a little bit on that and say, well, let's give them a chance. Let's whatever. 99% of the time we go, oh, would have been better to wait, you know? And so today in the meeting, today in our meeting, we have an open positions meeting. So we make sure that all the team members know what's going on and what we got in the pipeline and what's, from recruiting to sales to HR to clinical, those are all the key people that make sure that we're a well-oiled machine. And that meeting is critical. And so, and Amanda Tinkle is our director of HR. And I said in that meeting, Amanda, I have been meaning to get a hold of you, but I'm going to say it in front of everybody because you need to push back a little bit on us when we say we want to keep this person when they're not going to work out because they're not going to work and it always ends up coming back at us and we have to deal with this person because we didn't listen to you. So, and she's like, oh, I can definitely do that. But
Great.
that's, and that's it. That's what it's just in front everybody. And she wasn't upset that I did that. And I preface it with, you had tried to veto this other person and we let it go because we really wanted to fill that position. And she said, and now she's leaving. And I'm like, and see. Yeah. So, it's one of those things where it's like, you just really have to not gossip. I hate gossip. I would rather people just tell me what they're thinking to my face and let's work it
Let's
out
just do
rather
it.
than
Let's just deal with it now.
yeah,
Yeah.
deal with it, right? Yeah, deal
Yeah.
with it. Don't shove it under the carpet. That just gives you a place to trip.
That's true.
So
It makes it worse.
makes it worse, makes it way worse. Well, Derek, I'm sorry. I felt like I was preaching at you. I don't mean to be.
Great.
It's been a great conversation. If you could give one last question, I said I was done, but I want to ask one more question. If you
Many as
could,
you want.
now that you're 2 years in, one piece of advice to somebody new coming in as that's never been a director of special education, especially somebody that's not, come up the traditional way, maybe even like you did. What would you recommend or what would you suggest to them?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. A couple of things, right? Form some, get some allies quick, right? What I mean by
Mm,
that is just some other directors that you trust and to help because you need some unofficial mentors, right? That you can ask questions to. And I would the step that I missed definitely was being in administration beforehand, right? Like even a vice principal in some way, shape, or form. I mean, so at times I would help out with that stuff a little bit because I knew I had that degree. So if principals were gone, I might, be the guy a little bit. But
mhm, mhm.
even then, I wasn't dealing with a ton. So having more experience just with that would have been huge because then you're right then. Because now it's gotta know SPED law, special education law, and you have to know how to manage people, and you're also doing evaluations and dealing with this. Where if you're an admin, okay, you would get to do a lot of that already, and then you could add more of the SPED stuff in when you became, you know, the
Yeah.
director. And this is probably off. This isn't too off topic, but I'm going to add something if that's okay. Something too that I would recommend. Is I don't think, especially in roles like this in administration, I think we forget the importance of of self care, taking care of ourselves. I mean, I have 5 kids, varying ages, so I got a lot going on already. Um, but we come to work, we take on, especially in an administrative role, right? We take on a lot of stress, a lot of stuff. And are we taking it home with us? I think it's really easy to do that if you're not careful. So finding some self-care. Like I decided years ago, maybe because I was just lazy, but I wasn't going to take work home. You know what I mean? I'm like,
No,
they're
I
not
think
paying
that's
me to do it at
wise,
home. It'll
right?
always be there. The emails will always be there, right? All that stuff is always there when I come back. But then also just learning things to keep yourself mentally stable and physically healthy. I mean, I started running about 9 or 10 years ago, and I'm kind of one of those weird people that's in like trail running. It's like run in the mountains and run like 100 miles.
Oh,
It's like weird stuff.
beautiful. Yeah, beautiful though.
To me, that is relaxing. So like running, getting away, just getting to myself, just reflecting and just like looking around at nature, and just
Mhm.
appreciating where I'm at and what I have here, and not letting the everyday stresses that are compounded in this role, as you're dealing with other people that you can't always control what they're doing, and you have to and respond to those consequences sometimes. But yeah, just really make sure you're taking care of yourself, mentally and physically and spiritually and any other way that you want to that's appropriate, right?
Yeah, very good advice. It's so true. You have to. I started crocheting well, it was a year ago at Christmas time, and I was never considered myself artistic. It wasn't like I'm left-handed, so left-handed people are supposed to be artistic. We're using the right side of our brain. I don't know. There's a crossover in there somewhere. I just was never a stick people. You want me to draw? I'll give you a stick person. You want me to bang on a piano, it's banging on a piano. But this, for some reason, this is something where you give me some yarn and you give me a pattern and I find somebody that wants it and there's love and prayer and all of those things that go into it. And I end up with this beautiful whatever, that it is that I'm making. And that to me, and I also have the gift of philanthropy. I love to give away too much to my director of finance. She goes, "Oh my gosh, Janet, you're you got to stop giving everything away." I mean, even this, we do this. This is an expense. We use it. It's got both sides of it. It's good. I'm getting my name out there, and we are marketing, but we're also giving it back. So there's a cost that comes with it as well. But it's right up my alley because I want to take care of humans. That's what I do. I take care of humans. And when I see an injustice and it frustrates me and I know there's something I can do, Brighter Together is a result of that. It's really about let's talk about the things that are happening in education because we're all struggling and we're all getting beat up by the media, and let's show them. Let's show the world that good things are happening in education, and hopefully somebody will get something out of this that helps them, and that's just paying it forward, just constantly paying it forward. So those are the things that I love that just, keep me solid, and it's fun, and my husband my husband teases me. He's like, "I think I need to put some yarn on myself to get you to pay attention to me." 'Cause my kids are grown, I don't have kids in the house anymore, I got dogs, little dogs, but they settle down, and I've never been a TV watcher. I don't like TV. I'm just like, "Ugh." So, I'll watch a movie once in a while, but even that, I don't even like what's coming out of Hollywood right now, so.
It's
And
true.
I'm not a Marvel person. I don't like horror movies. Ugh. So, turn it off. Just turn I swear if it wasn't for my husband, I don't think I'd have a TV in my house. So, and you can get the news from your phone, so I don't even
Oh, yeah,
need that,
that's true
so.
too.
Anyway, great advice, great advice. Oh my gosh, we were gonna stop 5 minutes ago, and we kept going, so thank
That's
you so
sure,
much for being here. It's been a great conversation, Derek, and thank you for sticking with it and, fighting the fight for those kids. It's 'cause they matter, and I know that you're doing all the right things to help them to get to where they need to be, so thank you.
sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Let me know if you ever want to do it again. I'm sure we can find more to chat about.
I bet we could. Thank you.